All right, welcome to the November 21st regular meeting, the town of Neepawa. First on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda at all? If not, be it resolved that we hereby approve the regular meeting agenda for November 21st, 2023, moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councilor Kostenchuk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next, you will all have gone through the minutes. Be it resolved that we hereby approve the minutes of the regular meeting and the annual organizational meeting held November 7th, 2023 as circulated. Moved by Councilor Nadeau, seconded by Councilor Pottinger. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we've got a couple minutes here before we have a presentation, so start off with council reports. Anyone?
I don't know if mine's...
I'm just trying to make this the shortest meeting on record.
Councilor Gerard, thank you.
Okay, on November 16th, I attended the local district meeting for the White Mud Watershed. We talked our annual budget through, and we had an opportunity to review upcoming projects for the 2024 season. Of note, that the financial requirement for the White Mud Watershed in the 2023 season, we were funding at 0.33 of a mil. We have passed a resolution that it will be 0.35 of a mil as far as tax. So modest increase, but keep in mind that's also based on new levels of assessment. So it's actually a bigger number than. When you say it like that, it doesn't sound like a lot, but considering how much assessment has gone up locally as well. But on that note too, one thing that was discussed, and I think as we'll review with the manager of operations and that, is that they do not have a lot of projects on the books for 2024 that would apply to that. So it is on the citizen reps to bring those suggested projects forward. So if we've got some cleanups and things like that, we can get our name in on that, and there might be some funding dollars available through Watershed as of right now, because precious little is on the books as of right now going into 2024. So other than that, we talked with some of the other local reps. Most of the projects that have been on there have wound up pretty good, and I think they're all waiting to see how the new government chooses to handle their department as well. So
does that just seem quiet in our area, or is that kind of a...
It's within the White Mud Watershed. In the district that we sit in, there'd be communities like Glenella that are in another portion and things like that. Again, they'll go meet with their individual reps into those zones within the actual watershed. So, but as far as our local area, I sat in with basically a portion of Minto, a little bit, and that's the area that kind of strays over towards the Polonia area and things like that. We have Mr. I guess that wouldn't be Minto, it would be Minto Odana. And then we also have Rosedale present, and as well Langford, and then we also had Lansdowne, Glenella there a little bit, but Glenella still separates out to a little bit different area as far as their citizen reps go. So, but yes, there's not any major projects, and there's going to be some opportunities. So they're looking at things like cleanup and things like that, and they have their requirements that are involved, what will qualify. But we've talked about how we can maybe better protect Park Lake or some of those things on the White Mud within the town. So there might be some dollars that are available. Yes. these are minor projects. We're talking a few tens of thousands of dollars. We're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here, so.
Okay.
Ponds.
Yeah. I think Jason will switch over to these guys, and then I'll come back to you. So we have representatives here tonight from TNR Cat Rescue, and ladies would come forward.
Do you want sitting or standing?
You
Okay. Get comfortable. As Brian said, we're here from Cats TNR Rescue. All three of us volunteer with the rescue. We have Dorothy Tagg from town here, Liza Possia from Gladstone area, and I'm Lila Hildebrand. Thank you for making time for us tonight. Liza, we have a presentation and she'll read it off.
Okay, thank you once again. Tonight we are here to request council approval for a temporary emergency zoning variance for relocation of our shelters to a non-light industrial zoning area within the Neepawa limits. A little bit of our background. The CATS TNR and Rescue has been in operation in the Neepawa area as a not-for-profit charitable organization since 2013, running solely by volunteers, and they do a wonderful job at that, thank you. At that time, there are approximately 20 cats in care. That number has grown now to 80 plus due to the increased area population and partly because the rescue has a higher profile. At present, our cats are in care supported by home foster system and 2 shelters in Neepawa, both on Gill Drive. The smaller shelter has 5 cats and the larger shelter has 10 cats. Both are rented spaces and both have been sold, and with the owners advising termination of our leases. The owner of the small shelter has given us until spring of 2024, while the owner of the larger shelter has given us until December 31st of this year. After this date, we do not know where the 10 cats will go. Our request to the council is we've been trying through social media, cold calls, and word of mouth to find a new shelter building. So far, nothing has been available, but in case we have an option to relocate to an area outside of our zoning, we seek your prior approval today. We are here to request a permission for a temporary emergency relocation of our shelters until December 31st of 2024 to allow us more time to find a permanent site. We do not wish to set any precedents for a zoning variance. It would be on an emergency short-term basis only, and we are running out of time. The shelter at a residential location, for example, would in no way cause issues with the surrounding residents. The cats never go outside. They don't make any noise. The shelters are cleaned twice a day by volunteers. The litter is disposed of in bags in the town bins. And we never have had any complaints of surrounding businesses so far at our present shelters. Some advantages that we are providing for the town of Neepawa: there's fewer cats roaming the streets and causing issues with residents. The cost savings in animal control and veterinarian costs, the cost of housing cats, litter, food, and euthanasia by the pound if needed. We are a no-kill organization and we pay our own bills. Thirdly, healthy and non-producing cats available for people to adopt pets, and shop pets and barn cats. We also have a program, and we have rehomed over 700 cats since the inception of the shelters. An organization that supports the town functions as well as Canada Day and the fair pancake breakfasts and the concessions at Canada Day and through craft sales. Our director is Linda Desjardins, and she'd be more than happy to answer any further questions that go into quite depth. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Any questions, councillors?
So you have nothing on the perspective of locations at all at this point, yeah?
We thought, actually 2 weeks ago, we were planning to come to council, and at that time we had hoped that there was going to be a building available, but that building was not approved by the board that runs it. So at this time we have nothing. I have a copy of that for you if you
Yeah, that
want.
would be great.
And I can also, if you want, I can also email it to everybody if you need it.
So, I don't know what there would be like in Arden or Eden, but is that not an option? Like,
Not really. Believe it or not, there are not that many volunteers who are right here in town. We have volunteers from Minnedosa, Gladstone, Carberry, Riding Mountain. So everybody's coming from all different directions. And I think that if we didn't have something right close here, we would lose a lot of our volunteers. And if you know of anything that might work for us, we would really appreciate knowing.
What are your requirements as far as facility goes? Like, I don't know what when you say your large facility right now, when it's
Yeah.
10 animals
Yeah.
currently.
And that's actually a fairly small number for that shelter. We've had as many as 17 cats in there. It would be what?
Hydro, running water.
Even water,
Yeah.
both of our shelters right now don't have running water. So we've brought water in jugs and that's been okay, but we need something with electricity and heat. And size doesn't really matter too much. The bigger it is, the more cats that we can help. But
And nobody goes outside, none of the cats, so it's contained.
yeah. So I would say our larger shelter is probably 500 square feet, 600 square feet.
Yeah, I would say about that, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Other than doing your fundraising, have you ever looked at applying for any type of grants? Have you ever applied for any type
We
of grants?
have, but because our shelters are rented, grants are not normally given for operating costs. We've tried, but we've applied to the foundation 2 or 3 times and they just say, well, we can't help you with any operating costs. We have got a few small grants from the Youth Advisory Committee, but it's for things like litter boxes or traps or things like that. Yeah. I guess if we had the opportunity to buy a building, then the grants would maybe be an option for us. But at this time, we don't have any land to put a building on, and the cost is just so high that it's really not an option for us right now. We're pretty busy fundraising just to keep the cats sheltered and fed and watered and everything else, so.
Okay, well, certainly appreciate you ladies coming out tonight and discussing with us. And so we'll have to talk about this amongst council and
Yeah, and whatever, let us know what our next step should be if that's the case. And thank you again for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for coming. Okay, we shall continue on. Councillor Nadeau, you have some reports.
Yeah, on November 9th, we had a local library advisory committee meeting. And some highlights to share with council that I think you'd be of interest is the Margaret Lawrence House is going to be bringing in an author, and we're going to host it at the library. And it's going to be on December 7th, and it's a famous author, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because you've got to go reach out to the library or Margaret Lawrence in order to figure out who that famous author is. Also at our library, we know we're really pushing a lot on radon these days, as we have our radon detector program that we're running. Our local library has 6 radon detectors that you can borrow, just like a library book. And it's a 7-day test, so you leave it in your home for 7 days and it'll give you a scan of your environment to kind of give you some key indicators of how your home would be. Also, we've been looking at the number of library cards that we have right in our local library. We have 975 cards that are signed up to patrons, and we're always trying to get more people to sign up. That being said, those are cards, and sometimes that doesn't represent the true number of users. It sometimes represents families who just, one card per family seems to be good for some families. What does that translate though? I decided to ask more questions and look into it a little further. So I've got a few numbers to share with you. It's really neat, I think. Just in the last 2 to 3 months, we've got a new library program that tracks a lot more information. So it's actually telling us that we've had 2,938 different people using our library. So even if you don't have a card, a lot of people, because it is a public facility, seem to use our library quite a bit, which is good. And we're actually serving our region from, we get people from Minnedosa to Carberry, to Wellwood, to Eden, to Brandon, and even as far as Drumheller come to our library, I guess, when people are passing through or visiting people. So our library gets a lot of use, and it was really neat to hear some of those stats. But our new system called Insignia, which is what we use to check out library books, is giving us those numbers now, which is nice to see. With a huge number, 2,938 just from our Neepawa area here. And the other out of region areas, we are a regional hub, just like we are with our fire and our police and our healthcare now. So now definitely we're doing the same thing with our library services, which is nice. Another meeting I'd like to tell you about is another library meeting. It's our Westmount Regional Library, and just to update you some of the stuff, we're talking about our accessibility standards. Right now the push is on the digital part, which I know we're working on it too as a town. Everyone has to have stuff in place by May of 2024. And another thing to mention is there's some new voice translators that libraries are lending out now, which is kind of nice to help with translation. And all of the libraries in our region now they have Nintendo Switches, so including our library, which has a Nintendo Switch that you can go use inside the library, which is neat. If you combine our whole region, there's a total of 64,824 possible users, like based on population data. And the number of people with cards in the whole region, including all of our branches, would be 11,000, a little bit over 11,000 people with cards. So 1 in 6. So that gives us some data too to compare. If we have 975 cards in our population, that with the last census, we could see that we're actually a little bit above the average overall. So this new Insignia program is really neat, where it allows us to see some more stats, which we're really seeing. Neepawa in October had people to check out of our library, 1,356 items, which is kind of neat, just in October. So, and at this last meeting here on November 15th, we did pass our budget at the WMRL, just as I suspected it would. And I did request because it's something we wanted to see as our council, we wanted to see the other budget column from last year. So we just got an email yesterday, which has our new budget that has been passed. And I'll ask if maybe we can pass it around through everybody. Maybe we can do that just to show you the 2 columns, which is something that people asked for. So I just wanted to tell you that I followed up on that. And I think that's everything for my report.
Okay.
Can
Thank you, Jason.
Just add something though. Just with the radon detectors at the library, I'm part of the radon detector program. I have one in my house, and they did say with this program that those 7-day programs don't give an accurate, they can either give you a false positive or a false negative, and I don't want to take away from what the town's doing with that 90-day program, because that's where people get an accurate read on it. So I'd be very careful to advertise these radon detectors when it's only a 7-day, when they're saying that they're not getting accurate readings.
You know, you make a good point, so Cicely. It fluctuates during the time of year too, and there's highs and lows, and you don't want to. But definitely, if you weren't able to take the better test, which is the one that you're talking about,
I'd be scared though to get a false positive or a false negative. It could be detrimental either way.
right.
So just a concern, just with those ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Sisley.
So now I get to actually report on Arts Forward. There is lots going on. This Thursday there is Charcuterie Night. This is the second annual. It's a partnership that we did last year with Neepawa Gladstone Co-op, Farmer Estate Brewery, and Bothwell Cheese. It is $45 a person, but that gets you all you can eat food and drink. It's cheese pairings with wine, beer pairings with some very delicious appetizers that Neepawa Gladstone Co-op does. Last year we had live entertainment. This year I believe there is live entertainment again. I believe it's Blair Chapman that will be playing during the evening. It is a very, very cool evening. Once people got the hang of, they actually have to pair everything. They're not just going up like a buffet and taking stuff. You pair with the drink and the food. It's a really, really cool night, and it's a great night for people going into Christmas season. So there is some tickets still available. You can either go to the Co-op food store or call Arts Forward at 204-476-3232 for tickets for that. Saturday in town is going to be a crazy day with so much going on. The Glorious Christmas Wish Sale will be at the Yellowhead Hall. This is Arts Forward's biggest fundraiser of the year. There is 50 vendors that will be at the sale with some pretty unique items. The sale runs from 10 to 3 p.m. and entry is $3 for that. On Saturday as well, the Chamber of Commerce has the Parade of Lights. It starts at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. There will be a lot of floats this year, and you may even see some of us council members in different capacities on different floats and walking around. We had handyman meeting today. We did get our total from the Co-op Fuel Good Day. The donation was huge. It was $2,217.77 that we got from the Co-op Fuel Good Day, which was awesome for us. A huge thank you to Neepawa Gladstone Co-op for selecting the handyman to be the recipient this year. We did get 465 rides in the month of October, so that was up a bit. That was nice to see. And we do have the Christmas shopping trip to Brandon that Hand has planned, so that is December 5th. We will be taking the bus for that. It is $30 a person. You can call Michelle at Hand at 204-476-2009 to get registered for that one. And just a note, with everything going on Saturday, the handyman is available. If you are wanting to book it, just please phone ahead to reserve your ride. So that is 204-476-2828. And the last thing I have to report on is our rec department has organized Santa Day at the rink for Sunday, December 3rd. She's got lots of activities planned. There's Santa photos with Nicole Susky. There is take and make Christmas tree ornaments. You can bring your letters to Santa. There will be a public skate from 4 to 5 p.m. and then a skate with Santa from 5 to 6 p.m. And there's a Neepawa Farmers hockey game afterward as well. So lots going on.
Okay, thank you. Yes, there definitely is a lot going on the next couple of weeks, which is exciting. Any other council reports?
Yeah, I just wanted to-
Good.
So with the Beautiful Plains Community Clinic, we have a clinic committee that meets on Thursday mornings. And since its inception, somewhere around 2009, John Nelson with his wife Jerry have been a large part of this committee. And John and Jerry have brought quality and grace to the clinic building itself and to the student and doctor suites, but also they continuously created a very welcome social atmosphere for the staff and the doctors, being involved with people, new people coming to the clinic as well as people who were leaving. And John gave his resignation a year ago, but agreed to stay for one more year. But as of our last meeting, he had his last meeting with us this past Thursday morning, and we'd just like to thank John and Jerry for all those incredible years of community service. And we'll be actively now looking for a replacement. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I too have served with John for a few years and that, and yeah, they definitely, John and Jerry will be missed. All right, we'll move on to Manager of Operations, Denise.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, council and ourselves had a tour of the training facility. It was nice to see that the building is, I would say, virtually done. There's a few minor touch-ups here and there to be worked on, but the brunt of the work is done, so now we'll be waiting on ACC to move their stuff in there. Park Lake project is essentially complete. I have a final inspection tour with the consultants and the contractor on Thursday, so we'll be going over the lake project to ensure if there's any deficiencies or anything wrong with anything. But hopefully after that we can start seeing that lake start filling up.
Excellent.
Every time I go there, there's less and less equipment, so they're demobbing as much as they can right now. So lucky residents don't get to hear the equipment fire up early in the morning and shut off late at night.
It wasn't a problem.
But no, everything looks really good, so I'm excited for that walkthrough, and then, like I said, hopefully we can start filling that lake. Town staff would actually get up all the Christmas lights, and they were fortunate enough to have some warmer weather to do it this year. They'll be putting up the pallet tree in the coming weeks. I think we've pinpointed a few trees that look like they can be used. So. And then I've just been looking into renewals for 2024. There's a few that we have right now, so we're just gathering some information and providing some estimates on those projects and building those into the budget. So, and that they've been pretty light.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. No, that's wrapping up with some pretty big projects this year. That's great job. Great job. And it is nice to drive around at night and see the lights and that. It is. Looks great. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Crime Stoppers calling.
So this comes usually every year, basically, without reading you all of the information here, it's an annual appeal to Manitoba municipalities, and they want to continue their meaningful work in crime prevention and community support, and they're looking for a small contribution of 25 cents per capita or a contribution of your choice. So if you were to consider this for the next budget, it would be $1,421.25.
Questions?
Have we done this in the past? I knew somebody was going to say that.
No, we haven't.
I can't think of the time period I've been here.
No, we haven't.
But we could push it over and put it in the fall for consideration as we build the budget.
If we look at how it comes in with grant applications,
Yeah.
but again, that falls outside of grants because that's funding operations and not
Yeah.
our normal definition of.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we'll switch over to finance. Everyone should have reviewed their financial statement. So be it resolved that we approve the financial statement for the month ended October 31st, 2023, moved by Councillor Pottinger, seconded by Councillor Kostenchuk. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. So then we have some policies. Colleen?
So as you know, last meeting, we put policies on your agenda under new business, allowing you a 2-week time frame to review those, simply because they had not come to any particular committee level for introducing them to you. So for your discussion tonight, whether you want to approve those, is a tree protection policy, a commemorative benches and trees policy, and accessible information and communication policy. That last one, accessible information, allowing us to meet the requirements under the accessibility legislation, which not necessarily has to be in place immediately, but we're a little bit ahead of the game. We're prepared to pass it now. So unless there's any questions or edits or anything you have.
Look good. Certainly the tree protection was interesting.
And basically anything to do on the accessibility, it's almost calls to communications to make sure that we're, and you know, the items that were added in there, I think we're all reasonable. Will keep us compliant within the province.
Like, I can speak to that more if you like. I did talk about it a little more in detail at the last meeting. The idea being that if somebody wants to come in and they can, you know, needs a larger font so they can read better. They wanted audio. They want an explanation. Whatever method they needed to be able to understand what we're trying to give them, we need to be able to provide that for them. And of course, then when we host our websites and any information we share, it also has to be compatible, understanding that not everybody can read at the same level or clarity-wise, or maybe it's just a language barrier. You know, we provide it if necessary in another language if we have to. So it's just about making sure we can communicate.
You know, that was actually one question I had. The WCAG standards, does that allow, like our new webpage that we're looking at, does that allow it to increase it just by clicking on the webpage? Like
if it's a new website being built, it will be built to the right standards for that.
Okay.
So as mentioned last meeting, the economic development site and the rec site do that, and Dallas was actually taking a good overhaul and look at our current town website to make sure we can accommodate that.
So you'll meet the middle standard easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does it have that feature where it'll read it to you too, if you, the text?
That I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the motion is, be it resolved that we approve the following policies. OPPK 015 tree protection, OPPK 020 commemorative benches and trees, AD 130 accessible information and communications. Moved by Councillor Sisley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Accessibility plan, Colleen.
So this just follows up on the policy you just passed, the requirement of the legislation to talk about accessible information and communication. So this plan, you have to renew it every so many years and make sure that you're relevant to what's going on. The inclusion of now any updates we had or things we did to public buildings or anything we might have done to address accessible issues, and plus of course the adaptation for the communications. So.
Okay, be it resolved that we approve updates to the accessibility plan for the town of Neepawa for the years 2024 to 2025. Moved by Councillor Sisley, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Colleen, new business?
All I have is a resolution on your plate for proclaiming Restorative Justice Week, and based on the fact that the newspaper needed to come out timely enough to recognize that, we've already put the proclamation in the paper, and if you don't mind following up with actually passing it, would be great.
Oh, I think we can do that. Okay, the motion is, whereas in the face of crime or conflict, restorative justice offers a philosophy and approach that views these matters principally as harm done to people and relationships. And whereas restorative justice is a non-adversarial, non-retributive approach to justice that emphasizes healing in victims, accountability of offenders, and the involvement of citizens in creating healthier and safer communities. Whereas Restorative Justice Week is an opportunity to learn about restorative justice, as well as educate and celebrate along with other communities across the country during this week. Therefore, we, the Council of Town of Neepawa in the province of Manitoba, do hereby proclaim the week of November 19th to 25th to be Restorative Justice Week in the town of Neepawa. Moved by Councillor Sisley, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. Any questions? Councillor Nadeau.
I just want to speak in support of us doing this because the province released yesterday that restorative justice in our province takes 3,400 cases per year from the courts, and there's over 52 community justice programs in our province. So some really good statistics there to help support that this is a really good program.
And if I can add something, there's 3 of us here that sit on the Restorative Justice Committee, and a lot of people don't know this committee exists. And that in itself is, we're able to do these cases and nobody knows, and we're able to get things back on track without people having to go into court. So it's a very good program.
Yeah, that is a very good point, and also, thank you for you guys being involved in that as well, for sure. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Colleen, I guess this is just our tree protection first reading.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a bylaw that gives you the governance and the ability for enforcement.
Okay, be it resolved that bylaw number 3226-23 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to protect, preserve, retain trees in public spaces owned and controlled by the town of Neepawa or adjacent to the town property be now read for the first time. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Pottinger. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Other business, is there any other business for council tonight? Seeing none, ask for a resolution, be it resolved that we do now adjourn the meeting of the town, regular meeting of council at 7:38, moved by Councillor Kostanchuk, seconded by Councillor Pottinger. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.